Hello everyone, Professor Toybox here along with Donald Duck, and we're back in my Duckburg toy box for our final episode in this series. Today I'm going to build the last mission, which is a hide-and-seek kind of game in which the player searches the toy box to find Pluto, who's missing. This is an easy game to make and it works in any toy box setting. You can use it to find the Cheshire Cat in Wonderland or R2-D2 on the planet Tatooine, for example. To save time, I've already dropped down a friendly wave generator over here, and I've connected it to a bunch of locators scattered throughout the toy box. And as you can see, it goes everywhere. I think I've got 10 of them hooked up. And I put down some new ones. I've hooked it up to some existing ones to save a little bit of memory. It doesn't really matter where you place the locators. You just want to make sure you have a lot of them and that they're spread out so that there's a lot of possibilities for Pluto to be hiding. And we're going to start off here at the mansion and set up Goofy as our mission giver. So I'm going to come up to the character townspeople, or Disney Infinity townspeople rather, and we'll scroll over to the right. And I had this set up on here to already be looking at Goofy, but that's okay. So I'm going to put Goofy here, and once again, I want to get into his properties really quick so he doesn't wander off. And change his behavior temporarily to sleep. And then we're going to change it, and we'll just have him stand still. You could have him hopping up and down or whatever if you like. Alright, and now we need a few creativitoys to set this mission up. And under Creativitoys, we're going to need, let's see, the radar marker first. And I'm actually going to need 2 of these. I'm going to set one up for Goofy and one for Pluto. And I'm going to need a text displayer. And I'm going to set one up for Goofy and one up for Pluto. And the same thing with the dynamic trigger. And I believe that should be everything. So we'll start with our mission giver as usual. And we're going to do a new actor connection on the radar marker. And we're going to connect it to Goofy. And we'll do the same thing with the dynamic trigger. Wow, that went faster than normal. A lot of times it's difficult to select a little townsperson like that. Alright, radar marker. So blue exclamation point is good. The beacon location will be the connected actor. And we're going to make this active by default. So when we come into the toy box, his radar marker is on. For the dynamic trigger on the properties, again, the target should be the connected actor. And the trigger distance, I'll set this to 4. So a 1 block radius around Goofy. And for the text displayer, under the properties, text duration 4, text style, proposal. And all players can accept or reject the proposal. So, on the dynamic trigger, new logic connection, when entered by player, any, come over to the text displayer. And for this one, underneath the missions drawer at the very bottom, in that category, I'm going to use, can I ask you a favor? And then on the text displayer, a new logic connection. When the text proposal is accepted, this will kick off the whole mission. So we'll come over first of all to the dynamic trigger and turn that off because that's not needed anymore. And we'll also turn off the radar marker. And a new logic connection on text proposal accepted. We're going to come over to the friend generator and generate the wave. And on the friend generator, under configure wave, we're going to add Pluto. And so we need to scroll through this big long list and look for Pluto. La da 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 da. Let's see, he's not near Donald. He's not near Goofy. He's not near Mickey and Minnie, interestingly enough. He's probably going to be at the bottom of the list. These are all the Marvel characters. And then we have our Star Wars. Oh no, did I go past him? I must have. Well, now I'm wondering where he is. I really don't want to spend half the video looking for Pluto in here. There he is. Next to Timon and Pumbaa. I wouldn't have guessed that. Alright, we only need one of him. And under the properties, we're going to put him at a random locator, turn off the generation delay, and we don't need any generation effects. And under the generated friend options, I'm going to set his behavior, and we're going to have him wander. So not only will he end up at one of 10 locations around the toy box, he's going to wander around. And that's good. And now we're going to need a radar marker for him, so we'll do a new actor connection on the radar marker and connect it to the friendly wave generator. And we'll do that with the dynamic trigger as well. So new actor connection. Connect that to the friendly wave generator. And for the radar marker, under the properties, I'm going to set the beacon type to be a blue arrow. And the beacon location should be the connected actor, and it'll be off by default, so that's fine. And the blue arrow means it won't show up on the radar until you're near him. So that makes it a little easier to find him, but not too easy. And under the dynamic trigger, again, the target should be the connected actor. Trigger distance, and we'll set this one to 6. For the text displayer on this one, text duration 4, text style this time we'll set to banner. Okay, so when the mission's accepted, back over to the original text displayer, we'll do a new logic connection. When the text proposal is accepted, we're already generating Pluto, but we need to turn on his radar marker. And we also need to turn on this dynamic trigger. And I want that trigger to be off by default so it's not using up resources and wasting time trying to track a character that's not there until the mission starts. So I'm going to come over to our level starter, do a new logic connection on Catalyze, and then come back over to the mansion and turn that dynamic trigger off. And if you forget that step, that's not too bad, but like I said, I just want to save resources. Okay, so I believe that's everything the text displayer needs to do. It's deactivating both of these on the mission, generating the friend Pluto, and turning on the radar marker and the dynamic trigger for him. So the next step is when we find Pluto and we enter the dynamic trigger area around Pluto, we want to do a new logic connection on that, and we want to do when entered by player any. We'll go ahead and turn off that radar marker. And when entered by player any, we'll also defeat the wave and take Pluto back out to save resources. And we'll do a new logic connection on the dynamic trigger when entered by player any. Come over to this text displayer, And on here, what I want to do is come under Greetings, and we'll say, there you are. We found you. And on the dynamic trigger, when entered by player any, we're going to come over to the sound generator and play the musical flourish that indicates that the quest is complete. And the sound generator is all the way over here by the mansion. And that sound is under the musical category, fanfare. And then we're also going to want to invoke the action enforcer to have Donald celebrate. So the last connection here on the dynamic trigger, new logic connection when entered by player any. When we found Pluto, we'll have all of the players celebrate. Celebrate all players. And I think that's almost it. There's just one more logic connection we need to make, and that is on the friendly wave generator. So on that new logic connection, when the wave is defeated and we take Pluto out of the world, we'll turn off that dynamic trigger, and that will save system resources. So that should be everything. So now I'm going to go ahead and save my game before we walk up and talk to him. So on our Duckburg build, we want to save. And this should go pretty quick. And you get a little sneak peek of all my toy boxes coming up that I've been working on. All right, let's go test it out. So we approach Goofy and he says, "Can I ask you a favor?" Sure. And now we need to go find Pluto. He should be out in the world somewhere. And to save time, we'll come into Spark mode and we'll just do a quick little tour around the toy box and see if we spot him. He's not at the airport. There he is. So this time it put him up over on top of this hill. And you can see he's wandered off that locator. So now when we approach him, hey, we found him. And there we go. So that worked out pretty well. With that, my Duckburg toy box is finally finished. I hope you've enjoyed this series as much as I have. I love these characters and this setting, and this toy box was a lot of fun to build. My new series will begin next week. I'm still tweaking it and adding some finishing touches, so it isn't quite ready to go yet. I'm going to spend the rest of this week working on it. I'll still air the next Toy Box Tutorials episode this Friday, but that's the only other video I'm going to post this week. Until then, I want to thank you for watching. Be sure to sign up on my blog or subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so, because you don't want to miss my next series. I'm doing some really cool stuff in this one, and I think you'll like it. So I'll see you next time.